Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to unpack a massive, fundamental shift happening right now in real estate technology. If you're a mid-market real estate operator, you've probably felt it, right? That creeping, incredibly frustrating sensation that the software meant to run your business is actually the very thing slowing it down. Well, today, we're exploring exactly why venture capitalists are currently pouring unprecedented amounts of money into property management operations. Specifically, we're going to look really closely at something called the platform ceiling of legacy systems like Yardi. We'll break down what that actually means, how it is secretly draining your revenue, and what the absolute most innovative operators are doing to fix it. Let's get started.
Look at the sheer density of this capital concentration. Over a 12-month period ending in July 2026, out of all the pure-play PropTech equity funding, a staggering 60.4%, we're talking $365 million, went into just one single category: property management systems. The remaining 39.6%, about $240 million, was left for literally everything else in the PropTech universe. Now, venture capitalists are smart, right? They absolutely do not concentrate capital at that kind of density when incumbent software is working perfectly.
So what does this all mean? Well, it brilliantly illustrates our first major takeaway. This massive funding surge acts as a direct diagnosis of an incumbent shortfall. For years, mid-market operators have been asking themselves, is it just us, or is our software actually making our daily grind harder? Well, the market data proves it is definitely not just you. Buyers are actively dissatisfied, and they are spending serious money to fix the operations layer. The daily grind, things like maintenance routing, rent workflows, tenant communication, and unit turns, is precisely where current systems are failing, and it's exactly where software leverage is now concentrated.
Section 1. Hitting the Yardi ceiling.
To really understand what happens when a business outgrows a giant like Yardi, we first need to define this concept of the platform ceiling. Now, established property management suites are highly capable enterprise resource planning systems, or ERPs. But like all ERPs, they essentially enforce standardized assumptions about exactly how a business should operate. So the platform ceiling is the exact point where an operator's unique portfolio mix, or their very specific service model, diverges from those enforced standardized assumptions. It's that painful moment when your elite accounting database starts dictating how your field team has to do their job, rather than supporting how they actually work in the real world.
Let's compare the two dominant mid-market platforms to really highlight this issue. On one side, we have AppFolio, which is honestly great for standard residential portfolios, but hits a ceiling really fast when you introduce deep commercial lease complexity. But let's focus on the heavy hitter, Yardi Voyager and Breeze Premier. Yardi is an absolute powerhouse for deep commercial logic, institutional accounting, and compliance. There's no denying that. But look at these limitations. Yardi has a notoriously steep learning curve. The implementations can cost anywhere from $50,000 to well over $150,000. It features a rigid user interface that notoriously frustrates field teams. And crucially, it aggressively gates its APIs, requiring really expensive professional services agreements just to access your own data programmatically. Yardi fiercely protects its ecosystem, which is, great for them, but it severely limits your ability to build your own custom workflows.
Section 2. Bottlenecks costing you revenue.
Now, that platform rigidness we just discussed, it isn't just an IT complaint, it's a massive financial liability. The absolutely crucial point here is that the operational drag doesn't actually live inside your financial ledger. Yardi is phenomenal at storing financial data and processing ledgers. The hours leak in the gaps between systems, right where data has to be translated into physical, real-world work. Your team is probably wrestling with these unresolved friction points right now. Chaotic unit turnover management, highly manual multi-step maintenance routing, trying to generate custom variance commentary for demanding investors, complex CAM reconciliations, and tailored portfolio roll-ups. When the core software can't do this autonomously, your highly paid analysts are forced to export raw data into spreadsheets, introducing human error and totally dragging down your cycle times.
And what is the actual cost of all that manual drag? $58. That is the brutal financial reality here. Based on a $1,750 average national apartment rent, every single day a unit sits vacant costs an operator $58 in completely unrecoverable revenue. Gone. Every single vacant day is a pure expense. To put that into perspective, the industry benchmark for highly optimized unit turn is about 4 to 7 days. But what is the reality on the ground?
Well, because software fails to coordinate vendors effectively, 49% of management companies take 9 days or longer to complete a turn. Think about that. Site staff are literally sitting there manually texting a painter like it's 2005 just to follow up on a cleaner's finished work. Because of this lack of automated workflow, median list-to-lease times have stretched to a staggering 41 days.
Now let's actually do the math on that, because this brilliantly illustrates the real cost of hitting the platform ceiling. Let's say you have a mid-market, 2,000-unit portfolio with a standard 45% turnover rate, okay? That's 900 turns a year. If manual routing and poor vendor coordination extend your average turn by just 5 days beyond the benchmark, your portfolio bleeds 4,500 vacant days annually. At $58 a day, that operational drag is costing your firm $261,000 in unrecoverable revenue every single year, all because your software can't automatically send a text message to a vendor.
Section 3. The Operations Layer Strategy.
So how do we fix this? And more importantly, how do we fix this without incredibly risky moves like ripping out Yardi and migrating your entire accounting system? Well, the pragmatic approach for mid-market operators is what's called the operations layer strategy. You don't abandon Yardi, you keep it exactly where it shines. Here's how it works. Step 1, Yardi remains your system of record, the immutable ledger for your chart of accounts and compliance. Step 2, you build an API gateway, which is essentially a middleware bridge that safely connects to Yardi's web services. And Step 3, you build a custom workflow engine. This is a separate, highly agile layer built with scalable databases where all your custom operational logic lives. So you isolate the financial ledger from the daily friction of field operations. It's truly the best of both worlds.
Once you decouple your daily operations from that rigid ledger, this custom middleware engine can do some truly incredible things autonomously. We're talking about dynamic inspection workflows that trigger automatically the moment a move-out notice is submitted. Conditional vendor routing via SMS, meaning the system checks a vendor's availability and dispatches them without a human ever lifting a finger. Automated rent escalation sequences, omni-channel tenant communications, and seamless expense syncing right back into Yardi. You get to keep your compliant, pristine ledger, but you gain absolute, frictionless control over how the physical work actually gets done.
Section 4. Building for better NOI.
Ultimately, any tech strategy absolutely has to translate directly to your net operating income. Let's see how this builds into a practical framework, because truth be told, not everyone needs custom software. If your portfolio is entirely standardized residential units, your strategy should probably just be to configure off-the-shelf software, pay for the premium tier, and use the native automation. If you just have localized pains, like, say, after-hours maintenance, adopt a third-party bolt-on tool. But if you have distinctive needs, like managing complex asset blends, massive batch turns, or totally bespoke reporting, platforms like Yardi are going to break down. Your strategy must be to build custom. Custom software beats the platform by conforming to your workflows rather than forcing your team to conform to a vendor's rigid rules.
But wait, check out this startling statistic, because you really need to be aware of this. According to a 2025 JLL survey, while 92% of corporate real estate teams are piloting advanced tech, a massive 95% of those pilots fail to hit their program goals. Why? The gap between tech experimentation and actual financial return comes down to one word: integration. If your flashy new tool doesn't seamlessly integrate back into your core workflows and your system of record, it just becomes another login for your team to ignore.
So the crucial point here is this central thesis. Software leverage belongs to the operators willing to build exactly what their portfolios demand. Mid-market operators do not have to sit around and wait for the venture market to crown a winner. Firms that are partnering with agile developers like Baytech Consulting, for example, to build tailored middleware and bespoke workflow engines are the ones actively widening the competitive gap right now. They're lowering their operating expenses, eliminating manual drag, and dramatically improving their margins.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with the provocative question, so you can evaluate your own property management tech stack today. Ask yourself, are you defining your workflows, or is your software defining them for you? If you are constantly hitting that platform ceiling we talked about, it just might be time to stop fighting your ledger and start building your very own operations layer. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this gave you some powerful insights to take back to your teams. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.